Hello and welcome to my review of The Blood Furnace, the latest of the main range stories containing the 7th Doctor, Ace and Mel. And I realise I am very behind with reviewing the main range stories, and hopefully I can fix that in the coming weeks. So without further ado, let's look how this story is presented, then we'll go on to my thoughts on this story. So for the cover art we've got the Urgent Guards, I think that's what they're called, the Urgent if memory serves me correct. We've got the blood crystal there, we've got this sort of furnace there. Then we've got Ace, the Doctor, and Mel, and this sort of ancient text and some pipeline. And we've got the 7th Doctor banner there, the spine, and the back of the story. So do feel free to pause if you want to know more about this story. And the total running time is 120 minutes. So taking a look at the booklet, we have the next instalment in the Ace and Mel 7th Doctor trilogy, the Silurian Candidate, which I'm very excited about, but there we go, there's the bio, so if you want to know more about that story. Advertising for Doctor Who magazine, and we have production credits, and we have the reversible cover there. And the disc art is exactly the same for both discs. Now before I actually go on to the review of The Blood Furnace, I just want to say if you want to check out this release for yourself, you can listen to the first 15 minutes of this story on the Big Finish podcast, which I'll put a link in the description. It's on the last 15 minutes of the podcast, so you can check out part 1 to see whether you like what the story has to offer for you. So what are my initial thoughts on The Blood Furnace? So, with Edie Robson, his writing for me ranges from average to mind-blowingly good, and this story falls on the side of very good. Now with a title like The Blood Furnace, you know it just screams the 7th Doctor, and the story itself does feel like a what if Doctor Who stayed on our screens, and it is a great continuation from the TV series, as it does feel very 90s with social political themes and the introduction of digital technology, which will become more interesting, an interesting plot point later within the story. And I will say the setting for the story in Merseyside is a refreshing change, as it fits the theme of the story very well. Part 1, I have to say you were pulled into the story straight away, as it's very intriguing, and straight away we have a death. Boy, Edie Robson really did kick off this story well, which does make it's slightly creepy in a way, meaning as soon as the Doctor and crew arrive, they are instantly thrown into the action. Another thing what I like about this story is that, we get the Doctor and Ace to be on their own, exploring, who killed and trying to solve who killed this man, which does lead to a good old-fashioned chase scene, which is tense with the Doctor and Ace balancing on a building. And as for Mel, well, she has some very interesting development, which I'll cover later on. We have a question raised: what is dark alloy? Mix that with an explosive cliffhanger, and you have a very strong start, with this part being action filled, full of intrigue and suspense. Part 2, we see this alien subplot introduced, which this part begins to raise more questions, such as what is the gateway, who are they building this ship for, and who's on their way. As this part we are introduced to the main threat of the story of Urgent, which fits McCoy's Doctor brilliantly, but more of them later. And we do have a nice little throwaway line about the Jadoon, which is a nice little touch reminding that Big Finish 2 have the New Who license, and it really did get me off guard going, oh, the Jadoon have been mentioned, which is nice. And this part of the story does have the best cliffhanger of the whole story, and everything is slotting together nicely. Part 3, this is when the story can get a bit more grim, as we see someone being sacrificed and having their heart being ripped out, and this is when we see the Urgent plan come into play, and we are introduced to this blood crystal, which I feel is utilised well, and it does create some great visuals in your head. And the cliffhanger, well, to say the least, it's bizarre, and it certainly does fit that sort of dragonfly, I mean, sort of bizarre cliffhanger, really. Part 4, everything has been building up to this, as this is the part when we see more action with a great sense of urgency thrown in as well, as we see the ship in full operation, and we see our foes' power and expand on them as well. And we do have something very interesting what happens to Ace in part 4, which I think really does suit Ace. And as well, we have a great confrontation with the Doctor and Linfess, which is a nice moment, but it does take quite a dark conclusion in that regard of the story. And the end of the story, the end scene with the Doctor and the gang leaving, is lovely, showing the camaraderie between the Doctor, Ace. So now on to characters. So if we start off with the Doctor, Sylvester McCoy. Now he is on fine form. This story we see the balance of season 24 McCoy and 26, as at the start of the story he's very bubbly and jokey and does get a few funny lines, But as we reach the second half of the story, and the story takes a few darker turns, so does the Doctor, which to me is a 7th Doctor, that sort of dark, manipulative Doctor. But he has great enthusiasm as he's fascinated by the ship, alongside the technology used within the story, and we do have that great sense of urgency what he has to save Ace, and we do see that quite forceful and fairly aggressive side to him, and his umbrella is used rather well. Bonnie Langford, Mel. Now this story is very much for her, as we see her expanded on with us getting her past revealed, much like Skin of a Sleek did with Romana, with her being reunited with an Academy friend. So it's quite nice that the main range and the 4th Doctor adventures have sort of a nice little coincidence expanding on the past of the companion of the story. So yeah, now this, for Mel, for her TV backstory, all we got was that she's a computer expert, but we never really saw that on the TV series, and that she's from Pease Cottage. So this is great as we see Mel's ex-lover from college, which is a very different it's very different from a friendly reunion, as we see her soon offered a job with computers, which does shock the Doctor as she does accept, causing a very nice scene between the two characters, and we soon see Mel become this sort of businesswoman, and we have this sort of plot thread around Mel as well in the latter half of the story. Sophie Aldred, Ace. Now Sophie Aldred does another fantastic job bringing Ace to life, as this story, like I said, is more Mel focused, which is not a bad thing, as High Price of Parking was Ace's story in a way. But Ace does have a fair amount to do in this story, like I said, being kidnapped, being a saboteur, and she does have a few witty moments towards the builders, but part 4 is when we get some real kick-ass action from Ace, and we do see her sort of soft and comforting side as well. So yeah, Ace and Sophie Aldred do a fantastic job within this story. Lynn Fess, played by Julie Graham. What a villain who soon shows dominance by controlling people and power by casting spells and not letting anyone stand in her way. And she's just a cold and sinister character what just takes no prisoners and just mocks everyone she encounters, and she does have a very urgent side and very impatient for her plans to be completed, and just a fantastic foe to go up against for 7th Doctor, really. Stuart, played by Todd James, Mel's ex. Now they have great chemistry between them, and you can believe that they have sort of a history behind them. And this, Stuart's a great character to sort of open Mel up and sort of explore Mel as a character a bit more, as he didn't expect Mel to travel, as she was very much career focused, and Stuart himself is a very polite and humble character, and at heart a businessman with an interesting plot thread why he keeps bleeding. A great character, brilliantly performed by Todd James. I just want to quickly mention the foe of the story, the Urgin. The best way to describe this foe is the technology of the Sycorax, with the word side of the Carrionites with them casting spells, but I think they suit McCoy brilliantly, as they are this sort of strange occult beings with their strange voodoo powers, and I think they're a great little foe. Really, I think they've got quite a lot more to do. I would have liked to have seen them more expanded on, but yeah, I'll be definitely intrigued for them if they do return, because I think they do deserve another outing. So what are my overall thoughts on this story for the 7th Doctor? Well, this story is very much mixing that new series feel alongside that what if Doctor Who did stay on our screens in the 90s, but I do feel the story does slowly fade out as the story progresses, because it starts off so strong but the story just slowly becomes weaker and weaker, and the story does have moments throughout where it just goes, wow, this story could be perfect, but those moments really don't help it push any further. It just only maintains that steady level really within the story. Another thing I feel we could have explored is the Urgin, as we see Stuart and Mel go to their sort of side of, to their world for like a fraction of a second really, and I would have liked to have seen the Doctor and crew go to their world to see what it's like to see the sort of voodoo occult what they have. I would have liked to have seen them explore them a bit more, because I feel like they're just like, here they are, enjoy them, they're creepy, be scared of them really. I feel like they could have expanded them a hell of a lot more, and just show that they are ready to take over the Earth, because I didn't really get that sense of threat that they're just building this one ship, even though there are supplies for hundreds of ships to be built. I didn't feel like there was an invasion, a threat there from them, but I did enjoy them themselves. I really did enjoy the concept of the Urgin themselves. But the story itself, we do have some nice references to the Dominators, the Daemons and the Vampires. So maybe I was expecting too much from the story, you know, expecting this to be quite a dark, nitty-gritty story, because, you know, that's to me the perfect Seventh Doctor story. But granted, the story does have a few dark moments, 2 major dark moments what stand out. But yeah, maybe I wanted this to be a bit more of a nitty-grittier story, really. But yeah, overall, I will give the Blood Furnace a 7 out of 10. I think that's a generous rating. I was toying between a 6 and a 7, but for now I'll stick with a 7. So yeah, if you want to check out this release and you want to hear this story before you actually buy it, check out the Big Finish podcast, the last 15 minutes of it, to get a sort of 15-minute tease of the first 15 minutes from part 1. I'll leave a link in the description for that podcast if you want to check it out. Yeah, the Blood Furnace gets a 7 out of 10. So thank you very much for watching this video. Hope to see you in my next Big Finish review, which will either be Classic Doctor's New Monsters Volume 2 or the Third Doctor Adventures Volume 3. It'll be one of those what will be next. So thank you very much for watching this review, and I'll see you next time. So take care and stay awesome. So thank you very much, and goodbye.